Ahoy hoy everybody, and welcome to Warhammer for Dummies. This is part 2 in the ongoing series, and in this video today guys, we are going to be talking about the Necron tier, the Catan, and the War in Heaven, and that entire shit show. But before we get into that, if you know somebody who is, let's just say, swimming on the other end of the lower end of the gene pool, you know, mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend of girlfriend, whatever may be the case, then you know what? Go ahead and send them this video, and I will go ahead and take the burden of teaching this very underprivileged person. So, that being said and out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, at the end of the last video, we had spoken about the old ones and their awesome advice towards the Necron tier of saying they couldn't be helped. And as you would imagine, they went to war with it, and the Necron tier declared war on them for this. But this is literally the equivalent of trying to openly declare war against a sovereign nation today with you, but with just yourself standing there with a fucking super soaker. It literally will do nothing, and it did nothing. In fact, all it did was it got them pushed back to their planet, the same cursed hellhole that they tried to get away from, they were now back at, and they seemed like all hope was lost at this point. And the old ones simply forgot about them, you know, they were done. But let's just say shit was about to go wrong very quickly. You see, the Necron tier became aware of these large jellyfish-looking, star-eating monster parasites that was snacking on their sun at the time. And we don't know how. Like, this wasn't just exactly shouting out of a fucking window or something, but the Necron tier managed to not only get into communication with this entity, but somehow convinced it to take form in a body that had been constructed for it in order to exist. Well, this allowed this entity to experience the universe in a totally different way, and oh boy were they assholes. See, they liked pain and suffering and all the fun emotions that they didn't really get a chance to process before, but now they could. And they found them delicious compared to eating just a simple old star. So, a plan was made to get a lot of souls. And it just so happened that the idiots that began worshipping them, being the Necron tier, would make perfect candidates. So, an offer was made to the Silent King and the Necron tier Triarch at the time, and it was a deal that they mullied over for over a year, and they thought we could not get screwed out of it. And in the end, they did get what they wanted. They got exactly what was promised, which was immortality. It was simply just, you know, one of those Wishmaster evil genie situations where you don't, you know, you get what you wish for, just not in the way that you think. So it included a very unbelievable process that included soul furnaces. Now, if you want to know what a soul furnace is, I don't know, but I can only imagine it is not a pleasant sight or not a pleasant facility to enter, because yes, although many entered these facilities of their own free will, many were dragged in chains and had biotransference forced upon them. Now, during this process of biotransference, their bodies, their souls, their very essence, everything about them was consumed by the Catan, and a simple life spark, a small little sliver of them, were placed into a necrodermis construct that then in turn became a Necron. Now, they gave them what they wanted, the immortality. By all accounts, Necrons are immortal. They can't truly die. If they get damaged beyond repair, then they just get transported back to their tomb world and placed into another body. So, they can't exactly die. So, at this point, the Necrons were now in their immortal shells, their form. They had some pretty big assholes gods to help them. And with this, the war in heaven began. Now, to fathom the level of devastation and war across the entirety of the known galaxy at the time, like I said, there's not enough marijuana in the world that can get you high enough where you could probably even get them close to imagining, just how much war, death, and destruction this caused. Needless to say, a conflict has never happened like it since. The Horus Heresy, the fall of the Eldar, all of the wars that have basically been fought afterwards, if they were all multiplied, if they were all added together and then multiplied by 100, you wouldn't even come close to the shitstorm that this was. So I can't even begin to get into full details other than saying whole worlds, star systems, entire species were wiped from existence and fed upon by the Catan in relentless feeding frenzies, and the Necrons, soulless as they were, had no problem to exterminate all life from planets as they saw fit. Now, you would think, where the old ones during all this, are they just simply getting their ass kicked, which they were. But they were also trying to play a wild card. You see, using their abilities of forced evolution and genetic manipulation, they created a number of races that would hopefully fight for them in their stead against these new menaces. Now, a number of races were made. I can't remember them all, but the only two that truly matter are the Eldar and the Krorks. The Eldar being the children of the warp, and the Krorks basically just being a big, angry, sentient mushroom that could fuck a Primarch up very quickly. So, yeah. Now, these forces were brutal to the Necrons and to the Catan, and the Eldar and the Krorks more or less held them back and even started to push them back. But it was at this time in the galaxy where the last nail in the coffin for the old ones happened, in the form of the Enslaver Plague, which were basically just very big, very unsavory-looking, hentai-looking motherfuckers that looked like big leeches that just went onto your head and sucked out your essence, kind of like that big ugly bitch from Starship Troopers. So just think about that on your head and just sucking it out. Now, they were attracted to psychers, and the galaxy was crawling with psychers everywhere because of the Eldar, and even the Krorks at this time could probably have even been enslaved by some of them, considering they have a latent connection to the warp. So, who knows? But all we know is that the Enslaver Plague was the nail in the coffin and spelled the doom of the old ones and basically forced them into extinction. One old one is known to survive the Enslaver Plague, but later died during the fall of the Eldar, which we will talk about in a later video. So, now, knowing that they had angry fucking roided up mushrooms and, unbelievable psychics running around, the Necrons decided to go and enter a great sleep and allow time to fuck everything up, as it usually does. And they would be awakened in about 60 million years. So, when, of course, in the current setting of Warhammer 40k, they are starting to awaken, and the Necrons are the big bads. And in future videos, we will be discussing the Necrons in more detail. But until that time, please make sure you guys like the video, make sure to share, and leave comments below if I left anything out, or to just simply call me stupid. After all, this is Warhammer for Dummies. Thank you, and peace.